Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair, and this is basically the 190 topic ongoing. That is basically the formula part. Then this is the 190 number part, and in this basically we are discussing that how basically the formula basically is going to calculate of each and every software industry. So basically till now basically we have discussed lots of things, and here that is basically first we have discussed subscription plan, then we have discussed the World Bank, what actually the World Bank in, and then basically we have discussed the real USA company basically. Sorry, the one person told that each and every country basically are converted into the company. So that also basically we are going to discuss what actually each and every country is connected with the company. This will be the very interesting topic that USA is equal to company, India is equal to company. Then fourth number is 100 people are basically staying in the India, sorry, in one city, and according to that, the oxygen power supply has done. Oxygen power supply is ongoing, and then basically we have discussed that .NET is basically created from the thousand cities, and that when .NET is going to load, that time basically the thousand cities energy power are basically required, and then basically that is basically transferred by the power companies to the each and every computer. Then basically we have discussed what actually the subscription plan is, how government basically takes the subscription plan, and how basically 3 to 4 lakh subscription plan basically has been created, um, has basically created by the subscription plan group, that is basically the World Bank group. And then basically we have discussed the how the subscription plan is basically connected with the government directly, how government is basically telling that we are basically responsible for each and every subscription plan. And basically this was also discussed, and then basically the Bollywood group is telling that we are basically connected with each and every cities, because we are basically into the new city creations, and we are doing the advertising of the each and every new city creation, and which type of stories that city is going to generate, that basically we knows. That for example they told that this person basically is going to behave like this only. Why? Because he is basically staying in this area. So then basically the stories basically got created, and in this world basically there are more than hundreds of story, 100 types of story, which is basically actually created because blood cells has already created for that story. Then basically we have discussed the VC plus plus, what actually the VC plus plus is, how basically they have banned the VC plus plus, and then basically the PHP basically created, and then the Python got created, and then basically the WordPress got created, and then more than 35. That is basically I think more than 39. More than 35, I think more than 35 PHP framework got created, and that basically you can learn easily because there are set of functions only which is created in the PHP, and PHP are basically created from the VC plus. That also basically is one of the user story, and each and every software basically is one user story. So till now basically we have discussed this all this thing, right? So here basically we have discussed this all this thing basically why there might be some reason, right, that we have discussed this all this. The reason is basically this everything is basically going to convert to one planet. For example, one person told that country is equal to companies. Country is equal to companies. Country is equal to company. Countries are equal to companies. This also basically one few people basically tells. So basically, if they are telling, then there basically there might be they have some proof, right? Without proof, basically nobody can tell anything, right? So he might be have them somewhere some proof. That's why basically he is telling. And in this world, basically there are many things created also, and that basically is converted to rules and regulation also. So in this world, basically people do the marriage, they get the second, they get their next generation also, and then the generation keeps on going basically, right? And few generation not goes, because that basically the few groups basically takes the decision, and that basically decision gets effect to their entire creation also. Sometime happens basically that few people says that basically this generation is not supposed to go further. So if generation is basically getting created, then basically trees are getting created. That also basically we have discussed, right? foods are basically created. For example, there are few trees basically. If we say that that is one generation, then basically it would be 100% correct, right? If we say that this tree is ongoing, then basically if anybody says that the old people says that this basically is the news. This is in Gujarati. Basically, we tells that actually हमारू generation છે. That means this is our generation. That means when their generation basically started, that time basically their family member have told that we have kept this tree so that your generation basically can be recognized. That up to what level your generation has reached. According to your behavior, basically these trees are basically behaving. So you can just imagine in the nature also basically because this tree are basically created by the government only. So foods basically are created by the food industry. So basically, if anybody says that food industry basically is with a normal industry, then basically you can't say that food industry is normal industry. But why? Because they are handling the generation. For example, they created one food and that basically food started when that generation started. So as per that generation is ongoing, the taste of the foods are basically getting changed. So the taste basically which is getting changed by the chef, they basically are guided by the certain stories groups that are basically by default the Bollywood groups. So Bollywood groups have each and every story of the each and every generation. So just see basically how this is going to connect to the each and every sectors. So the generation basically is going to connect. The generation basically is going to connect. That is basically the next generation. The trees basically got into the picture. Trees are equal to generation because the government is telling that to recognize this generation up to what level this generation has reached, then basically that trees are enough basically, right? For example, one cyclone came, and in this cyclone basically the trees, lots of trees got finished. Why? Because this generation basically is going to generate lots of human blood cells, and that blood cells is going to convert to the energies also, right? That blood cells is going to convert to the energy, and that from that energy, the planets are going to create. That is the main thing here. So basically, the trees which basically got ended, that basically is equal to generation. So that tree has ended. The reason basically they are going to find. Then basically, because if generation is ongoing, right? Then basically there should be some errors also. Basically that this basically is error in the. So basically you can say the system checking, the basically the nature system checking basically, that is also basically one system. And then that basically each and every user stories, that is basically created by the Bollywood groups only, that this system is created to check this generation is ongoing, so that basically has to checked from the set of testing system basically created. So basically you can't directly check with the human bodies, right? Basically, so for that basically lots of systems are basically created. So that basically it is not supposed to harm to that generation, but treatment basically happens, and then basically the um, system gets creates, right? Now basically here what we are discussing is the each and every behavior basically the human does. According to that basically his blood cells gets activated, and then basically the generation gets the energy gets creates, and according to that only the planets gets creates. For example, few people says that this person is very angry. So the angry basically when he happens, that time basically set of blood cells gets activates happens. Then when basically he gets certain activities which basically is not his brain is basically not supporting that, he can't take up to that level of the pressure. So then basically the set of blood cells get activated. He basically um, gets set of each and every activity. For example, like this, there are around more than 100 activities which human basically do in their daily life. He is doing some calculation because he is basically having some mathematics calculation work. He is basically writing some English words because he is having some English words work. Basically, for example, you want to write one mail to the customer, then basically he is writing the mail in English, and it can be possible in any language basically. So that basically energy gets generates. Then basically like this in the entire lifestyle, basically he do lots of activities, and that activities keeps on improving, right? Because why keeps on improving? Because the activity when he do the activities, then basically his activities are basically tracked by the power companies, because he's whenever he basically is doing some activities, that activity is basically generate his energy is basically getting generated in the environment, and by default that energy basically gets tracked. And here basically I will take one example, that how basically the blood behaviors basically are working. For example, one person told that he is the person basically who is the owner of these A blood cells. Then basically the person basically was shocked, basically how he's telling that this person basically which he is going, he is the owner of the A blood cells. That Bollywood group basically knows. Then Bollywood person told that you asked some data, right? That who is basically the owner of the A blood group. Then basically told that he the person which is going in this car, basically he is the owner of the A blood cells. Then basically he told that who is the B blood cells owner. Like this told that that person basically is going in helicopter. He is the owner of the B blood cells. Then basically he told that then one person told that who is the owner of this C blood cells. Then basically he told that the person basically is going in this vehicle. He is basically the owner of the C blood cells. Like this basically they got each and every blood cells information. Like this, they collected 38 to 39 blood groups honors. Then basically the software engineer person basically told that he was basically creating one data science project basically. What data science project, that basically we will discuss in this video or in later video. There, he was basically collecting the data. So basically uh, why basically he was collecting, because there was some person basically he basically told that his behavior is automatically getting changed, and his blood group was A. So one of the project basically the software industry got that why the people behavior gets changed. That was basically the one of the project. Why the people don't behave in straightforward way, straight way basically. Straight way means static way. Static way means today basically he is behaving like this. Then tomorrow might possible that he will not behave. So why basically it's that. So that was the project basically. So reason basically they want to find. So for that basically the Bollywood groups told that you start collecting this data. Then basically the so just see basically the software group basically software companies basically are getting guidance from the Bollywood groups, because the Bollywood group says that we have created the user stories of each and every city. So basically they knows that this type of activities is created basically by the set of groups. Then basically the each and every 39 blood group basically got created. Then basically he started thinking that each and every blood group owner basically was directly connected with the satellite groups, and by the power companies, and by the energy companies, and by the nuclear power plant. So one person basically, if he is one person basically, then basically his behavior also will be many types of behavior. He can be romantic one day, he can be unromantic the second day, he can be in angry mood, he can be in mixed mood, he can be in a friendship mood, he can be in emotional mood, he can be in any type of mood basically. So his mood basically was we are talking about the blood group basically, blood group owner. So his behavior basically was as per he was eating the food basically, and as per the location basically where he was staying. So like this, they studied that particular blood group owner where he is staying, because They told that we want to integrate this blood, because assume that this blood group was new blood group, basically what was created in this earth planet industry. In universe, basically this earth planet is created as a one industry. So for that, basically what they have done, they have studied his each and every behaviors, what he do, what he eat, what he do in house, what he is doing in laptops, what he is doing in mobile, how basically we can control that person, how basically that person can be controlled, what he eats, what he don't eat, what he is not supposed to eat. If he is eating this, basically then how basically we can stop this eating. Like this, basically they have studied each and everything. So for that, basically one doctor basically told that if we want to control this person, basically then basically we have to give him some disease. But basically he was not having any type of disease. Then just to control his body, basically we want to give him some disease. So assume that he basically checked some blood cells, and then basically they told that you basically have this disease. Then basically they told that, yeah, basically like this, basically he was getting few medicines. So in that medicine only, basically they started controlling his behavior. Why? Because his blood group basically was getting affected to more than crore people. For example, there is one A blood group owner. So he be whatever he is going to do, that is exactly same thing his entire blood group people basically was going to do. Why? Because his energy is getting transferred to that each and every person's blood group. For example, there are 10 crore A blood groups. Then basically whatever the A blood group owner is going to do, that only basically oxygen the A blood group people are going to do next in certain days, basically. For example, for 1 month, the data basically of that particular person was collected. Assume that for 10 days he basically was in romantic mood with his wife. Then basically few days basically he was in work. Few days basically he was in traveling mood. Few days basically he was in sports mood. Few days he was basically in some television movies watching mood. Like this, basically few days basically he was into kitchen. And like this, basically each and every mood basically was collected, and his energy was collected for 1 month. Then basically that 1 month data basically transferred to the A blood group people. That is basically 10 crore people. So like this, basically the power companies are getting the data, right, for 2 months. So that is the data basically. That data basically are the all the owners data. So assume that there are 39 blood groups owner, and they have certain data. So that data basically are specially collected by the power companies, and that power company basically gives the data. That basically the blood group owner data are directly connected with the satellite group, and few data basically are collected by the nuclear power plant. They do the certain process, and then basically they passes the data to the whole world. Basically reason basically is, in this world basically without blood group, nobody, no people basically exist. Few people says that HIV AIDS people basically don't have the blood group, but nowadays basically the treatment are basically done, and they basically says that this is the blood group basically. He was basically having the HIV/AIDS, and then basically he was treated, and then basically his blood group basically we can able to see from the blood cells machine. So like this, basically when the blood HIV/AIDS person basically was treated, that time basically the blood group basically the world owner told that we basically have to keep the treatment, keep the track of this HIV/AIDS person basically, who basically first basically was treated. So the person basically, and that basically we have to keep secret also. So like this, basically the HIV/AIDS blood person basically was treated, and he basically given one blood group. Assume that that blood group is C blood group. Assume that the HIV/AIDS person basically he was treated. That basically person one blood group that was basically treated as C blood group. So like this, the World Bank has given one blood group that was C blood group. So like this C blood group creation started. across the world. That is basically the each and every sectors basically got created. Like this, for example, if you are using the Microsoft operating system, that time basically the C blood group are also supposed to see that operating system, and they are not supposed to get any type of disease also. So for that, basically the C blood group energy has to integrate in that Microsoft operating system data, basically that is basically into the software. So that basically whenever he access the operating system of Microsoft, his blood cells is supposed to not get any harm. Because if blood group is going to get harm, then basically you can just imagine the, for example, 10 crore basic 20 crore basic people are going to affect. By default 20 crore people are going to affect due to that blood group which was basically affected by the Microsoft. So you can just imagine the things basically which is going to happen. So like this, the C blood group got created from the first HIV/AIDS treated person, and then basically C blood group started. So like this, whatever his behavior, according to that his behavior, the blood group was basically getting allocated. So then basically the system got changed. The system got changed means the person basically who was handling the world. He told that can we create one medicine whenever the baby gets birth. That time basically we are going to give him some injection, and from that injection basically we will directly allocate one blood group to him. So like this, basically, whenever he gets birth, that time basically his blood group was directly allocated to that child. So from childhood only, basically he got basically that blood group, and that blood group basically are going to behave like this only, whatever you do. Why? Because when the child got birth, that time basically he was in that hospital, and in that hospital basically they are basically connected with C blood group or D blood group or A blood group. So like this, they told that here basically also the money comes into the picture. Rich people basically are getting rich type of blood groups. So which blood group is the most richest? That also basically we are going to discuss why basically this blood group is so richest, why this blood group is so poor. So that also basically we are going to discuss in later on topic. So here basically we are discussing about how the blood group basically was created. So like this, that HIV/AIDS person basically treated as C blood group. So like this, C blood cells got creation happened, and like this basically he was getting treated, and then basically whoever basically are the blood group owner, they mostly gets some good ages. Good age means he basically gets around 500 to 600 year age. Then basically why basically the people basically don't know that this person basically which is going, he is basically having the 300 age. This person which is going, he basically his age is 400. How basically the people are not able to track that? Because blood group, who are basically are the blood group owner, their age or minimum is assume that minimum age was 150. So whenever he basically sorry, not 150, because we will take as 90 age. So whenever basically he crosses the 90, that time basically he converts into the blood group. So he basically gets the power basically of blood group. Reason, according to his blood group, basically lots of things are going to create it. So like this, the blood group gets created, and like this, the chain gets creates, and the blood group basically creation in the Earth planet that are by default going to create the planets in sky, in universe basically, and that is going to give some direction to the entire creation. That is basically the dot. If we say that what actually the dot is, then basically you can say that entire creation in universe, that is equal to dot. So dot is moving in the universe, and that direction is going to direction is going to connected by the blood group owner basically. So blood group owners are basically, and to create one blood group owner, to become one blood group owner, it's not so easy, right? To create one blood group owner. So basically, assume that the maximum age to have the blood group become the blood group owner is 90, and somebody basically the breaken that rule also, breaken that record also, and he basically become the blood group owner in 35 age only. In 35, when he was 35 age, that time basically he's broken the rule, broken the record of having the less age blood group owner. So that basically was the record basically. And like this basically, the just taking as an example basically, 35 age, because previous age was 90, so he broken the record. That is basically 35 age. When he become the 35, that time basically converted into the blood group owner. So according to that basically the plan started, because few people says that he basically has going to be treated as blood group owner. Then basically he is supposed to do some, we have to do certain plans. So basically we need to allocate few people also in his location, his in his, as a his blood group. So for that the plan started. So now like this basically the D blood group got created. Like this D new blood group got created. So D blood group got created, special energy he was getting, and he was basically connected with the universe, and he was connected with the satellites, and like this basically he was getting the energies, and few for certain time basically he was not connected with the earth planet energy power company. Earth planet power company, he was not connected, he was directly connected with the universe. So like this basically the earth planet nuclear power company and the energy company and the subscription plan basically tracked that person basically, that because that basically the one less person oxygen was basically getting sent to the city basically. Then basically they told that basically the population is 100, but we are basically sending only 19 and oxygen data. Then basically where that one person is, then basically they tracked his house. They find that a person, to find basically you can directly call and tell them basically why your data is not getting sent to us. You can directly tell them that. So they basically called him for an interview in one of the company. Like this he has given the interview, and that person's energy was collected by the subscription plan group. So just see, the World Bank only directly called him and given the taken his interview, and then basically his energy was basically collected. Then basically his energy was collected, and then basically they told that basically this blood group basically we can't track this energy basically in our database. Then basically they connected to the satellite group basically, and the satellite groups told that basically he is the new blood group which is going to create. Then basically the subscription plan group set the rules of the blood group to become blood group owner is, I think, 90 age, right? No, basically he has broken the record. So his age is 35, and he's going to be blood group. So the people basically who then basically this information got leaked. Then the blood group owner basically whose age was 90 and he was basically the highest record. Then basically he got some jealous. Jealous means jalan. In Hindi basically it is called as a jalan. So like this he got jalan basically, and he basically started treating wrong with that person, and his group basically started creating wrong to that person, and lots of things basically happened. So like this, but at last basically he converted into one blood group honor. Then basically his chain got started, his energy got started, his city creation started. He became the blood group owner, but in real basically it's not possible that his lifestyle might be good, he might be having some bad lifestyle, it might possible, right? Because blood group basically people honor basically it might possible that his blood group basically might not have become rich, because it's a new blood group, right? So if he said it's a new blood group, then basically he might not be having the money, he might not be having the power basically, because he was treated as a blood group newly, so he might not be having the money. Then basically banks connected with him, Banks started. Banks might be not going to help him, right? Because he's a new blood group. So old blood group basically are basically directly connected with the banks, and their behavior and the relationship are good with that particular blood groups, old blood groups. So like this, they are the behavior of the new blood group basically with the bank. Then basically that would not be wrong. That would be wrong. Then basically the World Bank thought that why should we can't create a new bank for him? Then basically for this particular blood group, because that banks basically are for old blood group and their relationship are also basically good with that group, so they are not going to help this new blood group who is having the new blood group. They are 100% not going to have, not going to help him. So for that basically started creating new banks, and they started creating new products. So just see the banking sector basically connected with the new ideas. So like this, the people basically who was in the IITs, IIMs, who basically freshly joined, and the old IITs, IIMs basically they started doing the analysis. Yeah, basically this person basically he's the new blood group, and to collect the story, the Bollywood group says that we have the entire story of this particular person. Basically, we was tracking him, and from the starting, basically we are tracking him. So basically, the Bollywood person told that basically one of the director told that one of each and every basically directors of the Bollywood group analyzes the each and every person behaviors, and they basically directly marks that this person is 100% going to become this person is going to 100% going to become that person is going to 100% going to become that. Few people says that yeah, this person is going to become one day he's going to create one record, and that is the new blood group owner. So like that basically the Bollywood person basically do the trademark to the, that is basically the do the sikka of each and every person basically. They basically have that different database of the each and every cities, that basically the if very one person told that basically you have the user stories of the person basically, then basically the few people says that we can purchase the Twitter, we can purchase the Facebook, we can purchase the LinkedIn to find the each and every person's behavior. So that from that also basically they started tracking that person. So Hollywood Group said basically we can directly enter his house, and basically we can watch what he's doing laptop, what he's actually doing the activities. That type of thing basically Bollywood says that that type of thing also basically we do. But that basically when he becomes the blood group owner, before that basically we don't have the permission. For that basically we tracks him virtually. That is basically what he is doing in laptop, what he is actually currently doing, because they basically have the list of each and every objects basically, each and every equipments which he is the owner. For example, he is having the mobile, Android mobile, then basically what he is doing is Android mobile. For that basically they have taken the permission from company, and they are tracking each and everything. For example, he is doing some job in the company, then basically they give some business to that particular person owner, and then basically like this they track the what he is actually doing in this company. Like this basically each and every 24 hours activity, Bollywood person basically tracked that what actually he is doing in 24 hours. Like this basically the blood group World Bank basically asked the blood group behaviors. Then basically Bollywood group said this is the entire file of this particular person, which kind of person he is. So World Bank basically also basically were got shocked. Then basically they given few contracts to the Bollywood only. You track each and every people user story. Like this basically the Bollywood group got some big orders. Like this the Bollywood groups got one big order. So basically previously they were not getting money. The task basically they were doing, they were not getting money. Then basically they started earning lots of money. Previously basically the Bollywood people basically was staying in one or two room kitchen. But nowadays basically the Bollywood groups are staying in big bungalows in Pali, in Bandra. Few people stays in USA, few people stays in London. So like this the behavior, like this the staying culture basically of the Bollywood suddenly got changed. Why? Because they done the presentation of their work in front of the World Bank. and the World Bank basically got impressed with that work of the Bollywood groups. Then basically how you have done this achievement basically, and few time basically they changed the lifestyle of that particular person also. So for that also basically the World Bank told that yeah, basically great work you have done, and great task also you have done. Like this, the Bollywood groups got some big orders that you are basically knowing these blood groups, each and every stuff, basically what he is going to do, what he is going to do, and what he might do, up to what level he can do. So like this, each and every information, the user stories was collected by this particular, and the director basically who told that he will 100% going to get, he's going to convert to the blood group. He shifted to the Hollywood movies. He directly shifted to the Hollywood movie. So basically, in front of the Bollywood, he basically died. Then basically he shifted to the Bollywood, Hollywood industry. So like this, his journey basically started in the Bollywood group. So basically here, basically what I want to say, I want to say that the blood groups in this world basically are created like this. Previously, basically there was no Bollywood, right? Previously there was no like Bollywood. Then also basically the behavior basically of each and every person basically was getting tracked. That was through the physical activities what he do. According to that, the physical people basically watch him, and then basically the user stories are written. But nowadays the technology is very basically high. What he is doing, that basically easily can able to track from the satellites, that what actually he is doing, what he is actually done. So like this, each and every activities basically are basically getting tracked, and then basically the Bollywood industry says that trade do the trade map of each and every person basically, and few people the government basically directly do the trade map in childhood only by giving the injections of the birth from the birth only, that we have directly allocated this person as a blood group. So he is 100% going to behave like this only. You do whatever. So like this, basically the poor people gets the poor blood groups, rich people gets the rich blood group. So like this, this is about the blood groups which we are going to discuss. So this is basically 190 number part, and in 991 we are going to discuss a little bit more about the Bollywood industry, the formulas which the software industry is doing, and how basically the software industry is going to prove themselves, and how basically the Bollywood industry is telling that we have already proved ourselves and we are getting basically lots of work. Like this, basically the Bollywood industry and the software industry and the each and every sector basically are connected with each other. That also we are going to see. So this is basically 190 number, and 191 we are going to discuss a little bit more about this.